fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Scrap returns for the fourth point scoring race, fifth round of the first ever truck series presented by Aussie Online Gaming and us here at SimSpeed TV. The lights are on in Illinois. We're here at Chicagoland. One of the more interesting tracks in the iRacing platform with very, very wide, very, very open. And in the trucks, a lot of open throttle as well. This is going to provide some very, very interesting and entertaining racing. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me, as ever, is Mr. Cameron Dance. Cam, this is going to be a load of fun. We love this track. Well, I love this track. I'm fairly sure you've enjoyed this track when we've heard you racing here as well. More so in the IndyCar than the truck, so it's a very, very familiar track to the IndyCar schedule. But this looks like it should be a load of fun with very, very close qualifying times as well.
Yes, certainly. It seems to put on some really, really good racing, regardless of whether it's NASCAR or IndyCar or something else. It just really seems to be a very, very good track for racing, and also is very, very enjoyable to race with the fact that it's got a lot of banking. I mean, it's granted it's a bit shorter than Talladega and that, not quite as banked, but it still is very fun to drive and has a lot of character to it as well.
100% does, and drivers at this present stage are out there in warm-up. Qualifying has been done and complete, and interesting that qualifying is probably as you'd expected in the top three, but it was a real last-second qualifying run for Braden Boulos to put it into P1. We didn't see him get into that pole position right until the last moment because he was behind Jason Martin, who had put down the qualifying lap of the session for most of that time, but Boulos just completed the pole position right at the end.
Yeah, he was very, very close to not getting that lap in the end, but managed to pop it out at the very, very last seconds. So put himself on the front row of the grid for tonight's 80-lap race, and will be trying to get a win here and hopefully try and add some more championship points to his tally.
Yeah, speaking of championship points, he is currently leading the championship by only 5 points over his teammate in Matt Danson. But we'll run through the grid while the drivers are getting ready to get out there for the race. As he said, 80 laps ahead of us here tonight. Braden Boulos and Jason Martin on the front row. Matt Danson in third position. Then we've got Michael Skurlak, who also just got himself into that final four, the top four, at the last minute, just pipping Darren McKenzie in fifth. Dave Douglas qualifies in sixth position with Daniel Stevens in seventh. Jaden Russell in 8th position. Then we've got Drop Bear Motorsport on row number 5 with Daniel Yeaman and Matty Jones. Row number 6, Mitch McLeod and Simon Mazzomo.
And then you're going to have Ryan Jones and Caleb Hydes on row 7 with Colin Bruns running out the top 15, Sam Stride and Jeffrey Aldis, before you go back to Justin Howell to round out row 9, and then Aaron Russell, Tim Corn and Tim Weston, Penny Wilkinson, Michael Shaw and Ashley Lear will be the final drivers to fill in the 24-car field.
Yep. So the final couple will be arranged by iRating, which will be Lear, Wilkinson and Shaw in that order. As we said, it'll be 80 laps ahead of our drivers for tonight, as they are currently out getting ready to get racing underway. It'll be a very, very good night. As we also have within our series, of course, we say it's an 80-lap race, but of course it's 80 laps or 60 minutes, whichever comes first. And the last few weeks, we've not had to worry about the time, certainly. We've been within it by about 5 or 6 minutes, which has been great to see. Last couple of weeks as well have been relatively caution-free in comparison to other rounds that we've had and other series we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it's certainly been a little bit cleaner than what we've seen in the early stages of the series, but I think everybody started to understand who they're racing and what sort of racing to expect, so everybody sort of cleaned up their act, and in the end we're getting some really, really good racing. So looking forward to seeing what tonight's going to hold. Hopefully not too many cautions, but we'll have to wait and see.
Boulos will lead the field away. Remember, the other factor that we have in our racing in this series, of course, is the limited tyre sets. The drivers have a complete 3 sets of tyres, 12 tyres throughout a night of racing. That includes the 4 they start with. So there's 8 spare tyres waiting in the pits for them if they need to use them. They'll be hoping they don't, but if they do, that could play havoc later on in the night, because if you get some damage early and need to take a set of tyres early, really does hamper your whole night. I think that's actually made the racing a little bit cleaner as well, because people have realised after those first couple of races, you really have to conserve the tyres, so keeping it clean really does pay benefit later on down the track with tyre sets.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that everybody's sort of being a little bit more smart and knowing that they have to look after their tyres a little bit better. But the pace car is off, green flag is in the air, and we are underway and racing in a very, very equal start from the front row. Not a bad start from Matt Danson as well to get ahead of 4th place starter Michael Skurlock, but everybody else sorting themselves out very, very nicely, 2 wide all the way through the pack. But other than that, it's been a very, very good start for Boulos and also Matt Danson.
Yep. Jason Martin's quite quickly just dropping back, and I think he's quite content to as well. Skurlock's dropped to the inside early, as well as Mackenzie. Dave Douglas is stuck up high with Jason Martin. And Jaden Russell also getting involved as well, but it looks like too Michael Skurlock's just decided, no, I'm sticking back. There's been a lot of discussion in the latter part of practice. Oh, Yeaman's around. And the caution is out. Daniel Yeaman had a massive moment. I think he was down on the apron. I was about to say, when you drop down to the apron and coming back on, making sure you do it safely has been a big talking point. I think we just saw why it's been a talking point.
Yes, certainly. You have to be a little bit careful, but it's all kind of started with Skurlock coming back onto the track off the apron and a little bit of contact made, and unfortunately Yeaman getting very, very sideways, nearly held it, but unfortunately ended up spearing straight into the outside wall. Ryan Jones very, very lucky not to end up in that, but unfortunately a few others further back in the pack ending up in that one.
Tim Corn unfortunately getting caught out in that one, and Michael Shaw was the other driver we saw who absolutely ran straight into the back of Daniel Yeaman. Unfortunate for those guys, and there's a couple of them with heavily damaged cars. I must say, Tim Corn has had 0 luck in this series, hasn't he? Week 1 he got had issues. Week 2 he ended up upside down, I think. Week 3 he had issues. Last week he was involved in an incident. He's had no luck at all, unfortunately, and it's been disappointing to see, because he's deserved some good luck, because he hasn't done too bad while he's been out on track.
Yeah, certainly hasn't had the best of luck, unfortunately. He's been involved in quite a few incidents across the season so far, so we're hoping to try and at least recover something out of this if he can, and possibly get some laps back if we're getting more cautions to be the lucky dog. But yeah, certainly hasn't had a really, really good run at this point.
Definitely hasn't, so fingers crossed, as you said, we see him back out there. He's stuck in the pits at the moment. Hopefully we can get him back out on track and get the lucky dog. He has gone 2 laps down, but we've seen in this series that being 2 laps down isn't necessarily the end of the world. You can get yourself back from that point, so we'll see if that does happen. Movers at the moment, Caleb Hydes, good start from him. He gained 5 spots at the start, as did Ashley Lear. He gained a few spots as well at the start, up from 22nd to 19th. Aaron Russell also up a few spots in the Torque Inc car. So a few decent movers already. Yeaman and Shaw both come into the pits to get their spare car and get back out and running again. They'll be looking for a much better result for the rest of this race. And Tim Corn still unfortunately in the pits, but Yeaman and Shaw are back out there and have stayed on the lead lap.
Yeah, they certainly have managed to at least keep themselves out there and stay on the lead lap. They've probably, I want to say they've burnt up a set of tyres, but can't quite remember if I see them going up on the jacks, but they've at least got some damage fixed. Yeaman didn't take a set of tyres, so he's still got all his sets remaining, but there's at least going to be a few that possibly are going to be contemplating taking tyres early on if we get another caution.
One of the updates from iRacing a little while ago was to make some caution periods shorter at certain tracks. One of those tracks was this one, which is why the lights are already out on the pace car with those drivers only just coming out of the pits. So one positive means that you get back to racing a lot quicker. Downfall is if you've got damage, you've got less time to get it fixed, which is what Tim Corn is finding out right now. So unfortunate for him, he's still stuck in the pits. He may not make it back out for a little while. No, there he goes right on cue. He's just leaving pit lane now. So he's 2 laps down, getting back out onto the track, which is great to see. You get ready to go green for the first restart of the night. We've got 5 laps of our 80. And a lot of battling and racing to go. And I think this race will be one that we see shuffle and chop and change a little bit. We're going to see drivers really work the tyres early. We're going to see other drivers conserve the tyres and work their way back forward as we get the green flag, start lap number 6 here at Chicagoland, and a very, very even jump the whole way through the field.
Yeah, especially on that front row at the moment. Jason Martineau pressuring the back of Braden Boulos on the way into turn 1, and might look like he might steal his position off Matt Danson, who's going to be hung out to dry on the high side. And just watching as well behind, you can see he's trying to set up a move on Boulos, but Boulos is going to be holding the bottom side of the racetrack, so he's going to at least stay down there. But Danson's coming back at him around the outside to try and get this position back, try and slot back into second place. Nearly 3 wide on the way through the tri-oval as well.
Really good fight, and that's the apron used as most drivers do in top level oval racing there from Braden Boulos. Just dropping down and then you slowly slide it back up. You don't want to be too aggressive on your rejoin. You also have to make sure that you have got a clear spot. The ruling within iRacing is if you do drop to the apron, you do have to bring it back cleanly. The driver on the true racing surface does not have to give you room if they don't want to. Of course, there's going to be a fair bit of sportsmanship shown in this series and in most that drivers will give you a little bit of room, and there've definitely been room given between those front 2 at the front, of course being teammates. Although there has been a lot of friendly rivalry between these two throughout this series so far, as Jason Martin gets a great run out of turn 2, 3 wide into turn 3 on lap 8.
Yeah, 3 wide and Boulos in the middle as well. He's going to back out of it, but Martin's going to end up taking the position straight off him. And watch out for Dave Douglas just in the background as well, as he might be able to set up a move on Darren McKenzie and get this move done and move it into 4th place. Boulos is actually moving, starting to drop a few places as well. Darren McKenzie's going to get around the outside of him at some point with the momentum that's going to be on his side, and he's going to look to the bottom as well to possibly try and keep the grip in those tyres. But McKenzie going to continue to hold the outside. He's going to have the momentum out of turn 4, but whether he's going to be able to get that move done is a big question.
We said that Caleb Hydes was the biggest mover earlier on. He's dropped all of those positions he gained in that first start in the restart. So he's already dropped back to where he started in 14th position. Biggest mover at the moment, though, is Justin Howe, plus 8 positions up into 10th position. He's just on the rear of this train, just with Simon Mazzomo in his new livery. So in 11th position, Mitch McLeod also up a couple of spots. Matty Jones is also making moves, and Dan Stevens as well doing a good job. Just sitting at the back, watching this lead group carry on and continue.
Yeah, they're certainly being a little bit patient at the moment as Russell gets up the inside of it. Daniel Stevens. Stevens going to continue to try and hold the outside line. He's going to end up drawing back up alongside Russell as well down the back straight on the way into turn 3, but might not quite do enough to clear him, although he's actually going to clear him on the way into turn 3. So Russell not quite able to hold his own on the bottom, and that's going to allow Stevens to take position straight back off him and start to apply a little bit of pressure to the back of Dave Douglas.
Also side by side there, Matty Jones and Mitchell McLeod. McLeod just giving enough room on the exit of turn 4. Matty Jones did have a little bit of a run out of turn 4, but couldn't quite get it done. But he's got a much better run out of turn 2 this lap round. And McLeod is going to slot him behind and make sure that Justin Howe can't go through. Howie doesn't care. He drops down to the bottom and he's going to try and hold on down on the low side. Interesting the line that we're seeing the guys doing at the moment. It's probably half a lane higher than I would have expected through 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's actually weird how it's working at the moment. It seems to be procuring the much higher line at the moment, so we'll have to keep an eye out and see what's going to happen over the course of the race. But Martin's trying to get around the outside. He's going to slot back down to the inside though, but going to sit behind Mackenzie, who's managed to get onto the podium now and be right on the tail of Brandon Boulos, who's starting to drop a little bit off the back of his Altus Esports teammate of Matt Danson. But to the back, Howie's going around the outside of Matty Jones, and Jones just not really able to do anything else. And Mazomo running a little bit deep as well, and that's going to allow Bruns to have a look up the inside as well, but he decides to think better of it.
Matty Jones has really come a long way, hasn't he, in 6 weeks of driving. Never done an oval race up until 6 weeks ago, and now he's well and truly doing a great job, being very, very consistent. He's learnt a lot in 6 weeks of driving, and he's definitely been our biggest improver in the series, I would think.
Yeah, he certainly came from a background of no real oval racing at all, so he's learned a lot over these past few weeks to learn some of the tricks of the trade, I guess you could say, and he's now starting to put those in place and really is coming a long way from where he was at the start of the season. So he's starting to really put some pressure on some of these quicker guys and also start to bring some decent results in as well. Let's go on. He's trying to set up a move on Colin Bruns, who's trying to hold him off, but also trying to chase the two ahead as Jones is going to have Mazomo up the inside on the way into turns 1 and 2. Mazomo is going to take that position straight off him, or as he is, Jones is going to hold it around the outside. Bruns is going to hold the outside as well and try and make something happen here, but Jones continuing to pressure the outside line on Mazomo as they head into turns 3 and 4, but it's on for the lead of the race as well between the two Altus Esports teammates as Matt Danson is on the bottom and Brulos going to go around the outside of him on the way down through the trial and take the lead straight off him.
It's interesting seeing that side by side is definitely favouring the outside. We've seen, 4 or 5 times already that the outside line, when we see a side-by-side battle, is the preferable line. And I think some of the guys behind there, you see straight away, Darren McKenzie saw that. He goes, okay, I'm going to follow that and see if I can get that done too. He's tucked back in behind now to try and get a little bit of draft and momentum down the front straight. But I think we're going to try and, or potentially see a lot of drivers now look at trying to make moves around the outside through 1 and 2 especially, and then use that through 3 and 4, that momentum at the exit of 2, and then a run into 3 and 4, try and make sure they're ahead by the start-finish line. Mackenzie couldn't quite get it done. Martin's coming back, but it's an interesting little dynamic that we're seeing, and you can see there Daniel Stevens, he's been using that line almost all race so far, so he looks very, very comfortable sitting on that second groove at the moment.
Yeah, it could be a second school of thought as well for some of these guys, just using that outside line to try and save a little bit of tyre as well, instead of bringing that right front and right rear up a little bit earlier, running at the bottom side of the racetrack. But that outside line really working very, very well at the moment for a lot of these guys, and you can see here Stevens really using it to great effect as he's going to drive around the outside of Jason Martin, who's falling back very, very quickly, and so is Mackenzie as well, as he's just had Douglas drive around the outside of him, and now Stevens is going to try and set them both up to get around the outside with Mitchell McLeod tucked right up in behind him.
Yeah, McLeod's just going to go, well, I'll follow you through, Daniel, and Stevens is going to get that spot, and McLeod now on Jason Martin. That's going to happen as well. Also seeing in the background too, Michael Skurlock is about to get the spot on Justin Howe. Has got the spot on Justin Howe for a second. Sorry, Matty Jones that was, that he's just gone through, but we stick with this because McLeod thought about making it 3 wide. I think that was a good decision to not do that, and that momentum he gained from looking at the 3 wide actually has made the inside work for a change, and Martin's now going to be able to follow him through.
Yeah, very, very good heads-up driving there by McLeod to turn what was possibly going to be a bad situation into a good situation, but Stevens is going to drive it straight around the outside with absolutely no effort on McLeod there, so possibly struggling with those right-side tyres now is McLeod, only 20 laps into this race as well, but Mazomo's going to size up Matty Jones on the way into turns 3 and 4. Ryan Jones just in the background there as well, trying to make something happen on that slightly higher line. He's going to have a lot of momentum on the exit of turn 4, not quite going to be able to get a move done on it, Matty Jones or Mazomo, and not quite going to be able to force it 3 wide on the way down through the tri-oval, but Mazomo's trying everything he can. He's trying to make that bottom side work on the way through 1 and 2, and he's managed to make it work, but Jones with a head of steam at the moment on the way into 3 and 4. He's going to get up the inside of Jones, and he's Matty Jones, and nearly clear him on the way through 3 and 4. He's managed to finally clear him on the exit of 4, but nearly had a look at possibly Mazomo there as well.
Seeing that Jaden Russell has come in for a pit stop on that last lap, so that's why you're seeing him on the timing screen 1 lap down right now. So interesting that Jaden Russell's doing that. What I was about to say too, when we saw that side by side with Mazomo and Matty Jones, is that we're at the point now where tyres are starting to hurt. 20 odd laps into a stint, your tyres are really starting to struggle. You're making sure that you can do everything you can to conserve them. Those that can conserve them well, which I think one of them that's doing a great job at the moment, looks like it might be Dave Douglas in that tyre conservation. If you can conserve them, this is the time that you do make huge inroads with really, really good tyre life.
You're absolutely right. Looking after your tyres at this stage is really going to help you later on, especially if we don't get a caution and you can make those tyres last as long as you possibly can to go deeper into the race. Just had a look, and Russell came down into the lane as well to get some damage fixed rather than get some tyres, so he's ended up further back in the field, but he's at least going to recover, get the lucky dog if we get a caution. But Martin looking up the inside of Stevens on the way through 1 and 2 currently, and it's looking like Stevens is possibly going to be able to hold on to the position, but Martin pressuring him on the bottom side of the racetrack, and McLeod's looming in the background there as well. So Martin's going to have to be a little bit careful that he doesn't lose 2 for 1 here, but Stevens going to hold on to that position in the end.
Really good little battle going on. Reason I was talking about Matty Jones with tyres, as we were saying before, one of the more inexperienced oval drivers we have in the series, and you can see that this is really the point where the inexperience can sort of hurt you a little bit when you do see a driver starting to work the wheel a little bit too hard. Those tyres start to hurt, and you can see that Matty Jones has definitely pushed the tyres way too hard too early, because now he's just dropping further and further back in the field. Another driver that looks like he might be struggling with tyre life is someone I'm a little surprised with. It's Michael Skurlock. He has got damage to that right side of the car though, so that could be why his pace has dropped off a little bit. That will probably be from the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, it's looking like he might have scraped the wall through on the exit of turn 2 and causing a little bit of grief for him. It's going to hurt a straight line as well, so he's going to be struggling to get passes done, and also defending from drivers as well, as Hides is looking to set him up to get a move done. I would say there's probably not going to be a lot of effort in that move as well, as he's going to get up the inside of Skurlock, but not quite going to be able to get the momentum, but he's going to continue to get on by with a little bit of ease. So that damage really starting to Skurlock. Might want to start to think about maybe bringing it on down onto the lane to get some tyres and damage fixed, but going to continue to press on as hard as he possibly can.
Got Ashley just behind him, who, as we said, he's started to work his way forward after starting right at the rear with no qualifying time. Also seeing Darren McKenzie and Daniel Stevens have a little battle up ahead, and they've also got Jason Martin and Mitch McLeod in there. He actually took the words out of my mouth as well. We're 1/3 through, so if you break it up into thirds, of course, using your tyres as your factor, breaking it into thirds is not a bad ploy, and someone who is doing that is one of the drivers we knew that was going to have tyre issues, that being Matty Jones. He's coming in after 28 laps. on lap 29. Of course, he will go a lap down, but he will have great pace in the next little bit. They're around about 2 seconds off their fastest laps, 1.5 to 2 seconds off their fastest laps. So they do gain a lot of that time back very, very quickly. Of course, that will leave him vulnerable later on in the race, though.
Yeah, it certainly will, but if he can make these tyres work and we do get a caution, he should be in a very, very good position to possibly pick up a few positions or maybe even end up in a place where he stays on the lead lap as well. But Stevens going to go around the outside once again on Jason Martin. Their outside line just continuing to be really, really strong at the moment compared to the lower side of the racetrack, and McLeod's just patiently waiting in the background. I'm surprised he hasn't really gone for any sort of move yet, possibly trying to do a little bit of fuel saving here and possibly just trying to be a little bit more patient than he typically would be, but he's going to look to try and follow Stevens on through on the high side, and Martin not really able to do anything about it. Unfortunately going to lose a place here with the way it's going to McLeod as well, but Stevens also setting up Mackenzie for a move here as well to gain an extra position and move into fourth.
Very, very cool little battle pack, and the pack ahead have definitely broken away. There's 2 seconds between Mackenzie and Douglas between third and fourth, and Dave Douglas has done a really good job of sticking with the leaders. The Altus Esports duo of Braden Boulos and Matt Danson are not breaking away anywhere near as easy as you would think. And in regards to McLeod, I'm a little surprised, along with you, Cam, that he hadn't made moves earlier. I mean, we saw him actually pull out of a 3 wide earlier. That's not necessarily something we'd see him do. I mean, he does race very smart early on in the races, but later on he can lose his cool a little bit and get a little bit more aggressive. But I think he's just trying to save the tyres. I think all of these guys in this pack here, none of them want to be the leader because it's way too good at fuel saving and tyre saving being trailing cars.
Yeah, you're probably 100% right there. Stevens gets around, or holds off McLeod, and McLeod's finally managed to get that move done on Jason Martin. But yeah, you're probably right in there. Some of these guys in traffic are just playing the long game. No real need to push your tyres any harder than you already need to, and better to save some fuel and possibly jump a few guys as well in the pit lane rather than burn your tyres up and then suffer later on from having to do an earlier pit stop. But How's not too far off the back of this little train that's going on as well, and he's bringing Yaman, Mizomo, Jones and Hides with him as well, so this could very, very quickly turn into quite the battle for the final few spots inside the top 5 and top 10.
And in regards to our drivers who have made scheduled pit stops, well, I suppose Jaden Russell's maybe an unscheduled pit stop, but they, that being Jaden Russell and Matty Jones, around about 1.5 seconds apart at the moment, so Jaden Russell is at this stage the lucky dog, but he is starting to have that truck of Matty Jones closing in as Mizomo side by side here with Caleb Hides. Hides another driver that hasn't had a huge amount of experience on the oval side. He does race a little bit more oval than the likes of Matty Jones, but he's done a very, very good job as well. But tyres for the guys that are probably a little more inexperienced at this point is where they're starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, certainly, as we're seeing Ryan Jones try and get a move it done on Daniel Yaman, but not going to be happening at that time at least. Mitchell McLeod, though, just up ahead, going right around the outside, right up against the outside wall on Daniel Stevens, and Martin's going to get up the inside of him as well. So Stevens getting a very, very bad run out of turns 1 and 2 there. Probably had to lift just to avoid running up into McLeod, and that's hurt him massively, as now Howe is right on the tail of Stevens, and this little bell pack has quickly become more than 5 cars.
Awesome battle pack going on right here. What have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, probably 9 if you include Mizomo in this pack. What's that? Between just over 1.5 seconds separating 9 trucks at this present moment, which is awesome to see as Mackenzie and McLeod get very, very close there into turn 3. Martin Stevens not too far behind, and Yaman and Jones. That positional change just about happened, but hasn't quite yet.
Hasn't quite happened just yet, but it's looking like Jones is going to eventually get the position with the way it's going, and he's going to take that position off him out of turn 2. So position gained there for Jones. He might try and set up a move on Howie here as he's going to come down the back straight. Looks up the inside of Justin Howe on the way into 3 and 4, but possibly just going to struggle a little bit with momentum here, but Howard's going to be balked by Daniel Stevens, who doesn't get the best run, and that allows Jones up the inside. They're going to be nearly 3 wide on the way down through the tri-oval, and Jones going to be on the inside with Stevens on the outside. Howard's going to be in the middle, nearly contact between them all, as Jones with a bit of a slide job. A little bit of contact between himself and that's how and Jones around. Oh no, Hyde's involved as well.
And the caution does come out from that one. Yeah, Caleb Hyde's involved as well. I think Jones may have run that in a little bit too deep and slid up the track a little bit more than he would have liked. We'll pick it up on the VRS replay. So we'll try and get a bit better angle than what we saw at live. You just see he's come up the track there. A little bit of a bump in the mid-corner from Stevens. Yeah, he's just had to get out of the throttle to not hit the corner, and I think Howe probably didn't realise how slow Ryan Jones was going there. That's probably the honest view of how that played out.
Yeah, nothing really how he could have done to try and avoid that sort of an incident. It was going to end in tears one way or another, and unfortunately Ryan Jones being the unfortunate victim in all of that, and Caleb Hyde's not really having anywhere to go either, and you can see how close it was. Just unfortunately the big checkup that couldn't really have anything done about it, so unfortunately Howe's had to end up with a bit of damage and make contact there as well. But
wondering if Howe really knew that Ryan Jones was out there. I mean, this camera angle shows that he's there, but you think about where you're sitting in the driver's seat, you're not sitting in the middle of the car, you're sitting way over on that left-hand side. I don't even know if he knew he was there.
It's a very, very good point. It is very possible, when also with some of these drivers running different FOVs as well, it could mean that they've got a little bit less vision than some others, so it could be very, very possible that there was some vision issues going on there. But the race off pit road is going to have Boulos and Danson not changing position. McKenzie is going to stay in, is gained up to third, but Lance moved up into fourth, and there's a few that have taken 2 tyres. Daniel Stevens, the big loser out of that after missing his pit box massively.
Yep, Stevens has dropped all the way back to 13th position. May have also got a little bit of damage repaired while he was in the box as well. A little bit longer of a stop. Around about 2 seconds longer as well. So may have taken a little bit of optional repairs. Aaron Russell definitely took some optional repairs. 24-second stop for him. But yeah, Dan Stevens, the biggest loser out of that pit stop phase. Lucky Dog goes to Jaden Russell. But Matty Jones will get his lap back because he has stayed out as well. He'll get waved around the pace car when the lights come off, and will get himself back around on to the lead lap at the rear of the field, which will be in another lap's time before they get waved around. But this has made the race very, very interestingly poised, with that caution coming out right at the midpoint of the race.
Yeah, it certainly had, and Matty Jones going to be in a little bit of strife for the rest of this race if we don't get another caution, because he's going to either have to bring it down onto the lane to get some new tyres, or he's going to have to really suffer with old tyres compared to everybody else around him who's going to have much fresher tyres. But this is going to be very, very interesting to see what everybody's going to do. Everybody's going to still have to conserve their tyres a bit to get to the finish, but who's going to end up being the big winners and who's going to be the big losers is going to be the big talking point, I think.
Biggest mover in the field at the moment is Ashley Lear, up in the 10th position. Remember, starting at the rear of the grid for this one. Caleb Hydes, unfortunately, has had to bring it in the pits. It looks like he might be race over. He had already used his spare car. No, he hasn't used his spare car, but he's stuck in the pits for some reason. So unless he didn't have his spare car ticked, and now he's stuck doing damage repair. Unfortunate for him, but either way, it looks like he might be out of the race. Hyde's having issues. Justin Howe, also another big mover in the field as well, but Jaden Russell and Matty Jones have been the ones that have dropped the furthest down, but of course they are out of position. But they'll be hoping that this next stint maybe goes, what, say 15 laps, and that really opens them back into being there strategy-wise.
Yeah, we're certainly hoping for at least another caution to get back into this race and have some sort of fighting chance, rather than being in a little bit of a situation where they're stuck and not really going to go anywhere compared to everybody else. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of strategy play they do and whether they're going to just try and tough it out there for the remainder of the race on those what are going to be very, very old tyres compared to everybody else, or whether they're going to try something different.
The big interesting thing for me at this point is if we do have a caution with, say, 25 to go, 22 to go, do these guys at the front stay out, or do they risk coming in and taking a set of tyres, hoping that another caution doesn't come out? Of course, you want to be on the freshest tyres as late as possible, but it reaches a point where it's too late for you to come in and grab them. So it's a very interesting dynamic that we may find later on down the track as we get ready for our second restart of the night. We are back underway. A very, very even restart at the front of the field. Everyone getting away very, very even and clean. No real... Oh no, Aaron Russell. And the caution is out.
Yeah, that's not the way that Aaron Russell will have hoped for that restart to go. And what that's done also has really helped. Also brought Russell and also Jones straight back into this race. Luckily, they managed to avoid that wreck, but not the way that Weston or Russell will have hoped to have restarted this race.
Aaron Russell went down to try and get past the 64 of Jeffrey Aldous, and then they've just hooked each other. And, oh, that's unlucky there for Weston. He did absolutely nothing wrong and just got cleaned up. But that's unfortunate for those guys. Aaron Russell has just taken it straight back to the pits. He unfortunately looks like he might be out of this race. That was a very, very strange incident, though.
Yeah, it was very, very weird. It was almost not even really that natural, but you can see there Aldous just running slightly higher on the restart. Russell just, yeah, very, very odd, and just, I guess, a little bit of misinterpretation of how clear he was in relation to Aldous.
So what this does do, this is a positive to come out of the night. We'll wait to confirm it when we get back around, just in case Tim Corn didn't get the lucky dog. But as far as I can work out, Tim Corn should be back on the one lap down after this. Matty Jones may have got caught up in that one as well, because he has just quit the race, unfortunately. I think he might have been that car that came around and just clipped the back of Aaron Russell. But let's see if Tim Corn does get the lucky dog. As far as I know, he should be the lucky dog and get back to one lap down, as he is.
Yeah,
Good
so
to see.
Well, he's at least going to get his lap back, so he's at least going to be one lap down. If we get another caution, he should end up as the lucky dog again, because of the fact that he's going to end up passing Aaron Russell. So he's going to at least have some something to be happy about when he gets back to the end of the field.
Very, very messy restart, that one. And really good launch from Aaron Russell, but just couldn't quite get clear. And Tim Weston, you have to feel for him, because that was just unfortunate. Wrong place, wrong time. Just making the smallest amount of contact. Looped him around, hooked the rear of that truck, and you can see the damage to the inside of the truck. Positive for him is that damage is actually on the inside. If it was on the outside of the truck, we may see that truck behave a little bit worse, but the fact it's on the inside, he might get away with that okay. With 33 to go, lights are still on, so we'll be restarting with 32 laps to go. And we've got a special guest joining us. I don't know if he's that special, actually. Scott Fountain jumping in with us as well for a little bit of a chat. Fonty?
Yeah, definitely not special. Definitely not special.
It's, this is poised now as a very entertaining finish of this race.
It is, yeah. First half of the race was pretty clean, but yeah, Ryan Jones was a bit unlucky there to get caught up in that accident. But one thing I do know for sure is these Atlas cars are pretty fast.
Definitely are. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet, I don't know if you'd even noticed this, but you probably have, considering you have raced at this track a fair bit. This track is very, very strange in how it's shaped, with that there is literally no straight on this track. The run between turns 2 and 3 is actually curved. We've lost Cam.
Oh, we've lost Cam. I'll jump in and replace Cam. Yes, well, yeah. He's I haven't been to a NASCAR track in real life, so I can't really speak from personal experience, but they're yeah, pretty interesting to watch racing on. These guys way different to circuit racing, and it's all about momentum, isn't it, Jay?
100%. I think we've got Cam back now.
Thank you.
There he is. He's talking again now. That's good. That's a positive. Yeah, Cam, you've raced a bit at this track. It is a difficult track to master, and as I was saying, the track not being straight on the back stretch is very different and abnormal for most oval circuits. Nah, he's gone again.
He's gone again.
Doesn't want
No,
to
he doesn't want to answer
point.
that question.
Doesn't want to talk on that point.
He doesn't want to talk about that question, mate.
Microphone doing some weird things, but yeah, it's actually a little bit curved. It's very, very odd. You typically don't actually tend to find that it's actually curved on the back straight, but this is probably, I guess, one of the oddball tracks where you're actually just constantly turning the whole way around.
And that,
Like a velodrome.
it is a bit, and that's what we were talking about before around conserving tyres. Those drivers that are able to work that high line better are able to save tyres a little bit more because they're not using as much wheel. As we do get the green flag, I was going to say the green start. Mixing my green flag and restart together. Danson, very, very good launch on the outside line, and he may get the momentum coming through 1 and 2. I'll tell you who we need to watch here will be Jason Martin as he builds up momentum, because he will close that gap in very, very quickly. We'll have to be careful though. If Darren McKenzie can chop in front, no, he won't be able to. Now, side by side in the 3 and 4, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, the whole way back to 11th position.
Yeah, side by side at the front of the field, but in further back, it's all on at the moment, just behind them. All for pretty much the, I guess we'd say, the top 5 fight, because they're nearly 3 wide on the way into turn 1 and 2. How's loose on the way out of 2?
Oh, there's going to be a biggie.
Oh. That was Ashley just hitting the back of Michael Skurlock, who we were on board with. I thought we were on board with him there, that we were going to see that we were all through it okay. And he literally just got the back end taken out there by Lear as he came back up the track after contact between the 78 of Justin Howe. A little bit of contact between he and Yeaman. And then as Howe came down, he makes a little bit of contact. Sorry, that was Sam Stride that he made contact with. Same livery as Ashley Lear. Did confuse me a little bit there. Same colours. But the lads racing teammates. Oh, there'll be an interesting conversation after that one.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be some words exchanged in Discord after that one with everything that went on there. Unfortunately, so Strider's going to have to bring it down onto the lane to get some damage fixed with the way that engine is pluming smoke out the back of it, but he's going to at least get back out there after using that quick repair of his. He's going to take some tyres as well, which is a little bit interesting. The quick repair to stay on the lead lap, but he's going to end up a lap down at this rate.
Well, how he's staying out, which is surprising.
See how he started, that rear end started to go around pretty early on that car. He was right hand down for quite a long time before he made contact. Car looks alright, but a bit bent up in the front left of the bonnet though.
Hopefully it does not have any issues. Getting back on the lead lap is Tim Weston after that earlier incident. So he is now back out there and on the lead lap, which means we've got 20 trucks still on the lead lap at this stage, with Sam Stride getting back out. Jumps straight in his spare and off he goes. Our only driver that had already used his spare truck and in the pits is Colin Bruns, another driver who's had horrible luck in this series so far, and he may be day done as well.
Yeah, so we're going to lose another truck, unfortunately, in this race. We've only got about 20 trucks still going out there. I should say 21, actually, but it's certainly been a little bit of a race of attrition for a lot of these guys as well, with what's happened in the last half of the race.
Justin Howard brings it in the next lap by. And we'll come in and get his damage fixed now as the lights, I believe, will be out on the pace car. No, another lap. As we're into the final third of the race, this is the point I was talking about before, Cam. Do you come in now, or do you hope that these tyres are going to be okay? I mean, they haven't done a huge amount of racing on these tyres, but even taking tyres now is a big advantage over the drivers that are out there on those tyres they took at lap 39 under that caution.
Yeah, there's absolutely going to be a large advantage for those who pit now under this caution. You possibly could actually bring it under down to the lane and get the tyres on this lap when we start to form up. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody does decide to do that. But if we do get one more caution, I think we might see a lot of guys roll the dice and try and use some new tyres to their advantage.
Especially the guys in the back half of the field. I reckon those guys, the likes of Mizomo back, nothing to lose from 10th, 11th back. Only positions to gain from back there. I think those are the positions where you go, yep, let's try it. Let's see what happens. See if we can make something work. If I only get back to where I was, it doesn't matter. If I only lose 2 spots, it doesn't matter. But I could gain 5, 6, 7 positions just from those fresh tyres. And if others around you follow you, that's never a bad ploy as well. You just need to hope that the lead guys don't come in.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You want to hope that the guys in front of you don't come in and that some of those behind you possibly follow suit or just try something for themselves. But if you're a little bit down the order, you certainly would want to come on down into the lane and get some new tyres to try and see if you can make something happen. But still, it's a reasonable amount of laps to go, and you probably are going to need to look after your tyres a little bit. So you're not going to want to try and send it on through the field as quickly as possible. You're going to still want to try and at least have some sort of patience. But if we do get closer and closer to that 20 to go mark, I think a lot of drivers are going to come to plate tyres.
I think if we have maybe 4 or 5 laps green, then we might see, and then another caution, I think then we'll see some real strategies come out. But Jaden Russell has come in and used his final set of tyres, so he is one that we are now going to see on that final run. He's only got 5 lap better tyres, and of course remember that was under that next caution, so he may not have too much better tyre life, but the fact that there is a difference could be enough. Well, they really only got 1 corner before that caution came out. As we get ready to restart once again here in Scrap, this is our 5th round of the championship, our 3rd point scoring race. Matt Danson, Braden Boulos, Jason Martin, Darren McKenzie and Dave Douglas, the top 5, with Mitch McLeod right there too. McLeod on the inside has his teammate in Ashley Lee, giving him a little bit of a push as they go 3 wide with Dave Douglas and Daniel Yeaman going to the 3rd line up. Haven't really seen the 3rd line up work yet, and I don't know if we will at this stage.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite got enough rubber up there just yet to be able to work, although we've got a couple of doing an alright job right up there. Dave Douglas trying to make it work, but he decides to come down roughly half a lane or so to get back into where he wants to be. But Mitch McLeod trying everything he can to try and make some moves happen, but he's also got to worry about the fact that there is also Lear, Jones, Douglas, and also Yeaman in there as well. Yeaman trying to get around the outside of Ryan Jones, who's going to look up the inside of Ashley Lear on the way into turns 3 and 4, but not quite going to be able to get a move done. He's tried his best, washes up a little bit. Yeaman nearly into the side of him, nearly in the wall, but he's managed to just keep it off there. Now Mizomo is going to be involved in this a little bit. 3 wide, he's going to be on the bottom on the way into turn 3 and 4, and here comes Daniel Stevens as well.
Oh, almost 4 wide there for a moment there as Stevens almost tried to look for a gap that wasn't there. Yeaman's thrown it in way too deep. He's going to lose all the momentum while it was happening. Braden Boulos got to the inside of Matt Danson and took the lead away. And here comes Jason Martin to try and steal 2nd position away. McLeod trying to make the extreme outside work, maybe looking at saving those tyres up for later on in the stint. Boulos, Danson, Martin, McKenzie, McLeod, your top 5. Lots of M's in that group.
Yeah, certainly lots of M's in that little group, but McLeod's going to be on the bottom side trying to get on by McKenzie. McKenzie's going to stay up high in that mid line, and he's going to have the momentum out of turn 2. Danson working that high line as well for the lead of the race on his Altus Esports teammate, Brian Boulos, coming through 3 and 4. Boulos with a slight advantage on the way out of turns 3 and 4. The bottom might just be starting to come back for those running on that side, and Jason Martin There's a little bit of a roadblock going on with the fact he's got nowhere to go really at this stage. He's going to try and work the same line as Matt Danson, but now Mackenzie's going to look to the bottom side and try and make that work as well. As they're going to be 2 by 2 on the way down the back straight.
What a little fight this is at the front between our top 5. Dave Douglas and Ash Lear aren't too far away from this group, as well as Mizomo and Ryan Jones. Daniel Yeaman has dropped a little bit back. Those top 10 in their own little group, though, with a decent gap back to Jaden Russell in the second group of 10. See, split into 2 groups of 5, but there's nothing separating the top 5 at the moment. Only a quarter of a second from first back to 5th. As McLeod tries again to make the outside work, but he just can't quite get the momentum. As how's that for the dummy from Jason Martin to try and force Boulos into to covering off, which he's done. But Boulos is too good. He's just going to use that and run straight past his teammate in Matt Danson and take the lead away.
Yeah, and Danson going to try to continue to use that top side as well with that middle line, and McLeod's using it at the moment. Mackenzie nearly washes up into McLeod, but McLeod gets around the outside and he's going to move into 4th place now. We'll get that position straight back off Mackenzie, I should say, but he's going to continue to pressure the back of Jason Martin, who's going to be on the bottom side on 3 and 4. He's getting momentum on his side out of 2 and 4 is McLeod, and he's going to look to try and get around the outside through the front straight area, and he's going to continue to run that top side, which seems to be working. It's starting to come back into its own a little bit, so it's very, very equal at the moment between the 2 lines.
What's interesting, those little fakes and moves and side-by-side movement between our leaders has meant that secondary group of 5 is no more, because it's literally one group of 10 all together. There is less than a second between our top 8, 1.5 between, 1.2 between 10th and 1st. As in the secondary group, Jaden Russell, Jeffrey Aldis and Michael Skurlock go at it. And also in there too, Dan Stevens in his recovery after that long pit stop. So there's 2 awesome fights going on at the moment, as Boulos has dropped behind Jason Martin and Mitch McLeod trying to take advantage of this and steal a spot from Braden Boulos.
Yeah, Boulos has dropped back quite a bit as well. Martin's now moved into 2nd place, so Danson's really starting to move forward as well, with the fact he's taking the lead of the race, and Martin has done a very, very good job. But further back, it's just all still going on between these guys, as Lear's trying to find a way on by Ryan Jones up the inside, down the back straight. Mizomo's just in there as well. Yeaman not too far away, should these guys all check each other up. But it's certainly anybody's guess as to what's going to happen here. Very, very equal, as Douglas looks to the inside of Mackenzie on the way down the front straight area. And now Jones is going to get involved in this as well. Nearly going to force it 3 wide. He's going to be up the inside in the middle, but has to back out of it. And he's going to slot in behind Mackenzie and follow him on through on the high side on the way through 1 and 2. And he's going to use the drive to his advantage to get on by Douglas as well, as they head down the back straight on the way into turns 3 and 4. And Jones has to back out of it a little bit, nearly contact between himself and Mackenzie. Lear's right there, and so is Mizomo, as they're all getting very, very jostly with only 15 to go.
What a fight this is there's almost contact there between Darren McKenzie and Ryan Jones. As you said, Ashley and Mizomo right there too. Daniel Yeaman not too far away. I've just seen 2. Michael Skurlock, unfortunately, is out of the race. And I've just done a little bit of quick maths as well. If we were to finish in this order, Matt Danson would take the championship lead by 1 point. That would be a championship lead change if we stay as we are, with Jason Martin in 2nd, ahead of Braden Boulos. 1 point in it, as into the wall goes Ashley Lear. Everyone tries to skate down to the apron to try and avoid him. And now Mizomo is going to be the big winner out of this. He's got 1 and he's going to get 2.
Yeah, and he might get 3 here, but Jones is going to drive around the outside, and so is Mackenzie. He's not going to have anything on that low side, and he's going to end up being driven around. Leah's going to try and drive around the outside of him as well on the way down the back straight and into 3 and 4. And Yeaman's right in there and thereabouts as well. So Mizomo's starting to go backwards a little bit, and that low line not really doing anything for him.
Interesting little dynamic happening at the front. 14 laps to go, and have a look at who he's closing. Jason Martin starting to close that gap in on Matt Danson. We said that he was probably saving tyres, watching the other guys around him. Braden Boulos may have used his, because he's starting to drop back And Martin closing in on Matt Danson, starting to apply pressure as Mazomo looks back up the inside of Ashley Lear with Mackenzie pulling away. There's some interesting battles and interesting talking points coming out of this one right now.
Yeah, there absolutely is, and it's really, really tough out there to get these moves done, especially with how this track is starting to progress and also rubber up. Daniel Stevens comes down onto the lane, so possibly some tyre or fuel issues going on there with 12 laps to go. He won't be happy there, and he'll be losing a lot of points as a result. But Mazomo is continuing to pressure, well, try and make something work on that low side. Just can't quite seem to have the momentum on the exit, but he's making it work as best as he can. He's not letting Lear get this one easily. He's going to get up the inside of Mackenzie on the way down the front straight and into turns 1 and 2. Yeaman's going to follow him through on the way into 1 and get up the inside of Lear, but the momentum again going to be in favour of the high side as Mackenzie and Lear going to manage to get up alongside. Mackenzie's going to keep the position, but Lear's going to draw up alongside, and Mazomo going to continue to use the bottom side on the way into 3 and 4 and drop alongside Mackenzie. It's so even between the two of them. You can't separate these guys.
Awesome fight going on here. This, remember, is for 7th position. And have a look at the gap that they've lost just in this amazing fight that they've been having. Ryan Jones has absolutely stormed away from these guys. Last lap by 0.4 of a second slower. There's Ryan Jones there, and have a look at how far back these guys are. What's that? 20 car lengths. They've dropped over a second in not much time at all. Shows how quickly it can change. It's almost rubbing through 3 and 4. That's Darren McKenzie, Simon Mazomo up the inside. If the race was to finish there, that would be pretty much a dead heat. 8 1,000ths of a second separating them. What a fight this is between these guys. This is very, very entertaining. This is very, very nerve-wracking for these guys, though.
Yeah, Mazomo's... What's that? Mazomo's still trying to make that bottom side work, but he just can't quite seem to make it happen. But it's starting to come to him ever so slightly, and now he's managed to make that move finally work in the end and get that done, although he may start to suffer with a little bit of tyre with only a handful of laps to go here, as he's got a lot of pressure from behind in the form of Mackenzie and Lear, and Yeaman still trying to find a way by Ashley Lear, but it's managing to make it work, and Lear's going to have a go at Mackenzie on the way down the back straight as well as Russell up the inside of Stride.
Yeah, these two have been going at it the whole time that other fight was going, and I've been wanting to flick to this for a while, but we hadn't been able to. But Stride had got the spot. Now Russell's got the spot. Now Stride's got the spot back. They're still side by side and have been for a long while. I'm going to have to cut away from that too, though, because have a look at Braden Boulos coming back. He's now fighting with Jason Martin, and Matt Danson starting to break away. This is an entertaining fight too. But Matt Danson will be loving seeing this, because this means that he will be able to catch his breath and not stress quite as much about what's going on behind as we come up to 6 laps to go. In regards to time certainty, we still have 9 minutes left on the clock, so still plenty of time, which means if we do get a caution, we may have time left on the clock for a potential green-white checker.
And that'll certainly make it very, very spicy to end at this race with a green-white checker. But Boulos starting to use that outside line, and Jason Martin has quickly recognised that. So he's decided to go up to the high side, and Boulos is going to have nowhere to go this time. So he's going to have to be very, very careful and very, very smart about what he does with moves, especially with the fact that they're coming to 5 to go this time by. So the laps are slowly starting to run out for Boulos to get back into second place and try and get some form of points, but he's going to look to the inside on the way through 1 and 2, but not quite going to have the momentum on his side.
Just behind Dave Douglas, Mitch McLeod, Ryan Jones all change of position there, as McLeod may have hit the wall because he's dropping a lot of speed. I'm wondering if there's been an incident where McLeod's hit the wall, trying to see if there's any damage on that outside. There definitely is. He's hit the wall coming out of turn 4, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, it looks like he may have brushed the wall at some point, so that's going to hamper him a bit in trying to get moves done and try and have a bit of straight line speed. 3 wide on the way in 2-1.
Here we go.
Why don't you, as Lear's going to be on the outside, Mackenzie on the middle, Yeaman on the bottom, Yeaman drifting up a little bit, nearly contact between Yeaman and Mackenzie, but Lear's going to drive around the outside of both of them and get 2 for 1.
And remember, Ashley Lear started right at the back of the field. P22 he started and is now into the top 8 in this race. A very, very good drive from here as he gets it way out sideways through the final corner. And nearly scrapes the wall. 3 laps to go. Oh no! 02, that's Darren McKenzie. I was about to say we need to go to the front because it is well and truly on. Well, the front is now going to be interesting because we will have a green-white checker finish. McKenzie and Yeaman fortunately making contact.
Yeah, that was just the slightest little bit of a touch as well, and unfortunately, both of them ending up in the wall, and it just looked like McKenzie coming up on into Yeaman, unfortunately, ending up both in the wall as a result of that. Lucky for no one to actually hit them on the way on by, especially when Yeaman drifted back down the racetrack and when McKenzie did as well, but that is not the way we thought that battle was going to end, and what this has really done is thrown a lot of drama into this race because now everybody's possibly going to have the idea of, do you take tyres or do you not? And what do you do in this final green-white checker? Do you just go all balls out for the rest of the few laps that we've got left in this race, or do you just try and score points?
The interesting thing is, with the time that we've got left in the race, there's probably only one attempt at green-white checker. So I think because of that, you don't pit.
Or do you? Because the leaders are
What do I know? What do I know? That has surprised me a lot. Staying out, Dave Douglas. He's going to run the gauntlet. Every other truck other than Ashley Lear is in the pit. Sam Stride looks like he is staying out too. As we see the number 3 of Dan Stevens. Remember, he pitted not that long ago as well. He's the lucky dog. So he has a bit of an advantage over the leaders as well. And Weston also staying out. Who's going to get the run out of the pit lane, though? Danson. Oh, that battle for second. Who's got it? Jason Martin. Jason Martin will be the effective second place truck. But these guys are going to restart 4th and 5th. They have to be careful of this because those guys that are going to be restarting ahead of them, very, very old tyres. That can be absolutely potentially disastrous for these guys.
Yeah, it certainly could be very, very dramatic into this race, especially for those on newer tyres versus older tyres. Those at the front are really going to struggle to hold off these guys on the older tyres, but I guess you're really just going to have to throw caution to the wind and just try and do everything you possibly can, especially those who are the quicker ones, to try and just get your way on by those at the front. There isn't too many of them, but with the way this track has been progressing, it's been very, very much all about trying to get around the outside, and if you can get up on that high side and not be too held up, and the fact you've also got new tyres as well compared to those around you, you can probably afford to throw it up the inside on a few occasions if you have to.
We've hit the end of 80 laps, which was our original race distance. We still have 3 on the clock, and we will get the 2 to go signal when they restart. So we will go 84 laps of racing tonight. Be our longest race so far in regards of distance travel. Of course, last week we did 115 laps at Richmond. Next week we head to... My brain's not working. I believe we're Phoenix next week, are we not?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question.
Where's my notepad? There it is, Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Phoenix.
I should have checked that before I started that tangent, shouldn't I?
Is it with or without the open dog leg?
Good question. I haven't even decided yet. I could be really spicy and just make it the old one. No, I wouldn't do that. It's too bumpy. It's too bumpy. In saying that, they're both too bumpy. So we get ready to get the 2 to go signal here. The light should go out on the iRacing pace truck now, or pace car I should say, the sedan. Keep on thinking we're running with the Chevy, but no, we're running the sedan. The every time I see it, I think it's something else, that car. I must say iRacing's done a good job of that to make it look like so many different cars.
Yeah, you literally can't pinpoint what it is. People say it's a Skoda, people say it's a Ford, people say it's a Lexus, people say it's a Toyota,
I see Kia.
or one of those. Call it what you will, it's not going to be correct, probably.
Yeah. And the good thing is, whatever you say, it's either wrong and it's right. So you can be right and wrong at the same time. As we get ready to restart with 2 laps remaining. This will be the final restart as well. If we do get a caution straight away, I believe that we will not have a green-white checkered restart. I could be wrong because I've never been in this situation. I'm not sure. But we're not far off the time certain finish as well. So we'll see how that does play out. We get ready to go. Pace car pulls in. Dave Douglas to lead the field away. He is on 42 lap old tyres. The truck in 5th position, that being Matt Danson, is on freshies. And have a look at the advantage those Goodyears have with the stickers on them. Straight to the front goes Matt Danson.
Oh no, McLeod!
McLeod around. Ryan Jones involved. We're still green, and there will be the caution. And it's saying that the race will be extended. So we're not done. We may have another green-white checkered restart here.
Yeah, we very much may well have another green-white checker, but we'll have to see what the timer might do. It might only end up being a 1-lap shootout. We'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. But Matt Danson and Boulos straight to the front of the field. Absolutely no time wasted there, getting themselves out of where they were and straight to the front. Dave Douglas has been saved by this caution, and same with Ashley Lear to end up 3rd and 4th, whereas a few others, unfortunately, not quite having the restart they will have hoped for, especially with the fact that they were going to gain a number of positions after that restart.
I'm wondering too, I didn't actually look before that restart whether McLeod had used his spare car before that caution came out under that last period, because remember he did hit the wall in that last racing phase before that caution. The clock is now at 59 minutes and 55 seconds. So will we see the checkered flag? There we go, white flag is now waving as far as I can see. Or is it not? I can't tell.
You can't tell, yeah. Barney's still got the yellow flag, so
that doesn't
kind of
help us, does it?
That doesn't really help.
Where are you, Barney? Let's see if we can zoom in on Barney and confirm that for everyone at home. There he is. Hey, what? I haven't driven that too badly there. I'm pretty impressed with that. As I let go of that though, there it goes. Almost like I almost know how to drive that joystick.
Until the drone has its mind of its own, it goes, goodbye.
Exactly. Until I click the wrong button and it goes off on a mind of its own. We'll see if this is the end of the race or not. We honestly don't know. While it's saying on screen final lap, we don't know if it actually is the final lap or not. We could still be 2 to go.
Either way, we're about to find out what's going to happen. I'd say, based on the fact that they're all deciding to do a little bit of a formation finish, I'd say the checkered flag is going to be in the air, and as a result, Matt Danson is going to be taking home a win with Boulos in second. Douglas is going to round out the podium, and Ashley Lear from 24th on the grid is going to take home a 4th place finish.
What a fantastic job from Lear and Dave Douglas as well. And unfortunate for Jason Martin. Remember, he was well and truly in that. And unfortunately, there he is. Now, are we 100% confirmed that that's the end of the race?
It's a very good question. I don't know.
I'm seeing 2 different things where it's saying 3 to go and checkered flag. I don't know. I actually don't know now. I'm seeing 2 different things.
Yeah, and there seems to be a little bit of debating as well in Sim as well, so not quite sure what's going to happen, but
because I mean,
probably
we just saw Jason Martin drive it into the pits. I don't think he would have driven it in the pits if he knew that the checkered flag was coming out. So I don't know if it is. Or if these results may not even go official if we've broken the safety car. The lights are now out on the safety car, but the safety car is still driving around.
Yeah, not quite sure. There's no flag waving on Barting stand, so yeah, a lot of.
I think we've
not quite
broken.
sure. I think we broke it.
I think we've broken iRacing. We legitimately think we may have broken it here. Now, the results did not update there just then. So, the timing sheet did not update. So, we don't know for sure.
I can see that the time remaining, the race has expired, and we still have a yellow flag out. So
Yeah, and the
I
lights
think
are
you
now
did break
out.
it, Jay.
The lights are now out under the safety car, but
It
cars are
still
still
says
going.
green, white, checkered.
Yeah. So, we may have legitimately broken iRacing here, which is very, very interesting. See what happens at the end of this lap. See if the pace car does pull in. You can see the timing on screen says 3 to go, but at the same breath it also wants to put the checkered flag out. And it's still saying 1 to go in game.
I think it
Here
might
we
be a
go.
one-lap dash.
I think it
Oh,
might
we're
be
actually
the
going
checkered...
green.
Here we go. We are going green.
Oh,
no!
Okay. We're not sure what's happened here. Hanson still wins. Or is it still going? No, the results
Still
are now...
done.
Not updated.
The
It's not
timing
showing
sheet
a
is not
check yet.
updated. Yeah, so that we're not seeing a checkered flag, but the timing screen is not updating within iRacing as well. So we'll see what happens at the end of the lap, but I think we might have to backdate the results either way. We'll see what happens here.
I think that the racer just isn't going to finish. It's just going to
You're right.
continue
Yeah,
on.
well, you're right. No checkered flag from Barney there.
It's still showing green.
There's no caution coming out.
Well,
Definitely broken iRacing.
I think you
We
broke
definitely
it.
have. I think
Gonna
we
have
definitely
to
broke
save
it.
this one.
Green flags
Send
in
it
the
on
air,
off.
so
We'll send this off to the bug team, who will have to try and help us fix it. Green, white, checkered Wreckfest. That would be very, very fun.
He runs out of fuel first, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely broken it here. So we will see if this comes up with what the results are showing. That looks like it is the official results, because that is where they were when the timer did expire. So that looks like we have got a positive to come out of this. Danson, Boulos, Douglas and Lear the top 4, with Sam Strider in 5th position. Mizomo and Weston 6th and 7th. Yeaman, Russell and Mackenzie rounding out the top 10, with Peter Wilkinson in 11th. Daniel Stevens in 12th position. Good recovery from him. Ryan Jones, 13th position. Jeffrey Aldis, Tim Corn. Good recovery from Tim, considering he was in 24th and 3 laps down at one point. Finished in 15th on the lead lap. Jason Martin, unfortunately, involved in that late incident with Michael Shaw. Colin Bruns, Mitch McLeod also involved in that late incident. Aaron Russell finishes in 20th position, 3 laps down, with Michael Skurlock hitting the wall late on, about 25 odd laps to go. And then Justin Howe, Matty Jones and Caleb Hydes rounding out the rest of the field. See if drivers come in for a quick chat. Looks like we've got a couple coming in. Cam, I'll let you have a chat with Braden Bullis, I think.
alrighty. Well, Braden, a very, very good race for you. Wasn't a win, but still a very, very strong result for the team, nevertheless.
Yeah, we got another 1-2 there. I just, can't help but wish it was in a little bit of a different order, but can't be too upset. Really happy for Matt, because that's what I'm supposed to say. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was a really good race, especially in the middle there. He tried to wreck me. No, he didn't actually. But I don't know what happened. I actually haven't looked at it yet. I don't know if we got kind of net coded or something. I know I got a little tight. Either way, 1-2. You love to see it. Happy to get another one. Yeah, good race. Good race all around.
and obviously Chicagoland, a track that has some very, very interesting characteristics, and obviously the Highline seemed to come into its own as well during that race. Were you guys running it to try and save a little bit of tyres, or was it actually genuinely the quicker line?
On the restarts, it was working for Matt. I was getting loose at it too every time. And then at the end there, I was really trying to get around Jason before that caution came out because I knew I wouldn't be able to get back to Matt, but I thought at least try to get back to second. And quite surprised that especially with it being nighttime and the cooler temperatures, that it was coming in there pretty well. I was getting some runs. I thought maybe I was going to get him before the caution came out, but either way, I mean, still ended up second. So I guess it just happens like that. But yeah, the track actually widened out a good bit. I was pretty happy with that.
Now, obviously, the cautions happened when they did. Were some of them inconvenient at all for you, or was it pretty straightforward in terms of strategy on what to do when the cautions fell when they did?
Oh well, if I had it my way, when I got out to that second lead over Matt, it just would have gone green the rest of the way. So every one of them after that was an inconvenience to me personally. But I honestly don't know. Especially with the one at the end there. I mean, I saw I think something happened to Jason there, which is pretty unfortunate because he was up there all race. And yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a tough situation there at the end. I mean, I understand guys staying out with tires and such. It's just as much their racetrack as it is ours, so can't really blame them. But it's just it's always going to get a little messy in that situation.
Well, we head to Phoenix next week
Phoenix.
for the next round. Looking forward to it at all?
I am looking forward to it as long as I'm faster than that pesky 30 truck. He's starting to get in the way, and it's really making me sad. So as long as I win, it will you guys will have a great interview. So that's how I feel about that.
Well, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. I enjoy watching them back all the time. Even when I do lose to Matt, I hate to see it, but I'll sit through it if I have to. And shout out to Matt because he's just so good, and honestly, he makes me a better racer. So can't be upset with racing him hard. Got to thank everyone at Logitech G Altus Esports. I saw Bo in the chat. Shout out to you, Bo. Wish you could have raced with us, but we understand. And also, real quick, got to thank the sponsors: Logitech G, Virtual Racing School, Racetech, Cube Controls, Astro Gaming, Owned, and Sam Blacklock Media.
Well, there you have it. A very, very reasonably happy Braden Bullis. Not quite the result, but in the end, a very, very strong one. And Jay, I believe you're standing by with that race winner, Matt Danson.
Definitely am, and I just want to say first, Braden only said those nice things after you turned up. Matt, he wasn't saying anything nice until you did. A good result for you, and obviously for the team, another 1-2, but it wasn't as easy as it looks on paper when you look at the results. It definitely wasn't as easy as as just a plain old 1-2. You had Jason Martin right in there and applying a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, that first long run, I thought I had a reasonable idea on how it would pan out, and then all of a sudden I just had no right front at all, and I was pushing heaps, and Braden was driving off into the distance, and Dave Douglas had managed his stuff really well, and he was digging. Saw him coming, and then I just slowly but surely I sort of had recognized what I was doing wrong, started to try and bring the tires back, and then Braden and I kind of leveled out, and we were within a couple of hundredths every lap, give or take, and was feeling pretty good then. And that second run, or the long one just before the final yellow, yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I thought I had it in the bag. Braden looked like in the mirror, he looked like he was about to get it done with Jace. I mean, Jace is really good, we know that, but it seemed like we had a little bit of an edge over him on the long run in this one. But yeah, definitely, like you said, when it was the initial restarts, it was anyone's game. Braden and I racing super close. I know that I can pinch him down and make it tough and have that faith that he's not just going to wreck me, even if it is pretty loose. But yeah, that final restart with the green white checker, I didn't even know we were that close with the time certainty. So if I hadn't known that, I probably would have taken a different route, I think. But just completely forgot about that. And then we were lucky enough to get a really good start. Obviously, those guys with the older tires just couldn't grip it up. And then you could definitely tell when they were shifting that there just wasn't the grip there for them. And had a look on the inside of Dave, and wasn't sure, because still getting used to the triples and that. I wasn't sure if I was there or how close it was, but I mean there was just enough of a truck width, and if that's there, I'm gonna try and jam it in. And yeah, Dave saw it coming, and he took the high lane, and then that was the end of the race.
It's a very, very good result for you both, but it, as I was saying, definitely not as easy as it looked, but it was a really fun night of racing. This track always provides some great racing. Some drivers don't like it, but you boys seem to really have enjoyed the night out there tonight.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous when I jumped in and it was nighttime at the track, because I figured that we'd just all be on top of each other all night, and it might be a bit scrappy. But it was better than I expected, to be honest. Like, because there was actually a bit of drop off, and we were actually having to get out of the throttle. Because I mean, as much as it's fun to be in a pack and going crazy, I don't know, it's not as driver orientated. So I guess as drivers we like to have off throttle time, and so we got that, and yeah, it was actually a really enjoyable race. So I imagine it would have been fun, seeing us go 2 and 3 wide. So yeah, it was cool.
We head to Phoenix next round. What are your thoughts on that? What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar-ish to Richmond, but I feel like I've always been missing something there. I don't know. I definitely think that'll be a Braden type of racetrack. Jason as well, we might see up there. It'd be good to see other guys like, I was really happy to see Skurlock and Dave Douglas here tonight. They're guys who I've known for a number of years, really, really strong drivers. I know Skurlock is pretty handy at Phoenix in particular, so that'd be interesting. I passed him around the outside last lap to win a race, so hopefully I can do that again. But yeah, it can be a bit messy at Phoenix as well. So hopefully all of us can, keep our heads bolted on and get some good green flag running.
Well, after tonight's result, it ties you back up equal championship leader now with Braden Bullos. 0 points between you two. Anyone you would like to shout out to, and do you want to do the sponsor plugs again?
Oh, we've always got to shout out the sponsors. They pay the bills. So we've got Logitech G, of course, Virtual Racing School, Astro Gaming, Racetech Seats, Cube Controls, Owned Live, and Sam Blacklock Media. Of course, you guys, Braden and I'm sure we'll have a watch back of the race afterwards. Everyone for coming out and racing hard. And yeah, that's super exciting about the championship. Hopefully, I mean, it looks like if we keep sort of getting these consistent results, it's going to come down to the wire. So that's pretty exciting.
Definitely is. It's shaping up to be a very, very entertaining fight all the way to the end. There's our first and second place finishers, Matt Danson and Braden Bullos. And joining us as well is our third place finisher, Dave Douglas. Dave, congratulations to you on a great result tonight. Best of the rest in the end, because those Altus boys are very, very strong. But to pick up a third in your first outing, or second outing, I think, in this series, is quite a good result. It was a very, very interesting night. You had a little bit at the start to hang with the guys, but just couldn't quite hold it at the end. But that strategy played back into you later on.
Yeah, that's it. Good to be up on the podium, number 3. So yeah, those Altus esports guys, they're obviously just the next level up from the rest of us, as you're saying. But I did have a little bit for him in that first stint there. I was watching Darren McKenzie and Jason and that. They were all sort of fighting hard. So I thought I'll just use the tyres as the master dancing once taught me, and just back off going into turns, and it actually sort of came back to me, and I was able to pass the guys on the outside pretty easily. And then I sort of went with dancing then for a while, but I think he was sort of just fooling me into it, sort of luring me into it, and I used the tyres up just a little bit too much. But other than that, I was pretty happy with that. And then yeah, obviously mid-race caution, so that stacked them all up again, and we ended up with a green white checker at the end there. And I sort of wasn't paying attention. I thought, oh, no one's going to pit here. It's green white checker. We'll stay out. Everyone pit. And I was like, oh, well, this is it. So I made my bed, and that's how it ended up.
Well, don't worry, we were shocked by how many pitted too, so we were like, nobody's going to pit from the front, and then everyone went in. But were you concerned when everyone jumped in and you didn't, that you were missing something that they'd seen, or were you thinking, no, you played the right card there?
Well, I was hoping I'd get more guys to stay out with me. If I had more guys to stay out with me, it's harder for the guys to get to me. So if I'm the leader, I can get away quicker. Then the guys got to try to get through the traffic. So if they get held up, that helps me immensely. And so I sort of dudded Ryan Jones there because I was just drifting coming in the pit. So apologies to Ryan, but he'll get over it. But yeah, I saw that I had 4 guys at least. I knew the new tyres would be starting at least 5th, and I was sort of watching for the dive down to the apron, but I didn't realise they'd be coming that quick. And like I said, well, as Dancer said, there was half a lane there, and I've blocked half a lane of Dancer once before, and he turned me. So I didn't block that one.
Don't play too friendly with him. He doesn't need any extra friends out there.
Oh, mate, that was at Las Vegas. We were racing at Las Vegas once, and yeah, it was the same sort of deal. I think it was a late restart, and I sort of blocked half a lane, but you just drove in there anyway.
Love it. Dancing playing dirty, I love it. We head to Phoenix next round. You're looking forward to that one. Are you going to be able to join us next round?
Well, yeah, I've been busy lately, so I got the first round at Charlotte, and I missed a couple. And I was hoping I was still on the grid for this one, hoping they didn't kick me out because I missed a couple. But yeah, hopefully get back out here for Phoenix. But not the greatest track for myself. I just don't know what it is there. I just can't find a pace there. So I'll roll around and see what happens. But yeah, I'll come back for Phoenix next week.
Well, good luck next week. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I'll just shout out to the BMX Bandits, Skurlock, Luke Drahair, and Mirko Dortnak. And no, I don't really have any sponsors, mate. I'm not fancy. I'm just yeah, shout out to myself and obviously Coach Danson.
Well, thanks for jumping in. And as we said, Cam, next week we head to Phoenix, 90 laps ahead of the drivers. This is going to be a very, very fun one.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen and who's going to end up coming out on top. Probably, obviously, favourites as to who that's going to be, but we'll have to wait and see.
And of course, you can catch that here on SimSpeed TV. A big thanks to everyone behind the scenes with us here at Scrap. Of course, the guys at AOG. Of course, everyone in the admin team here at SimSpeed as well. Big thanks to all the drivers for coming in and participating each and every week. And we will be back next week as we pass the halfway point of the season at Phoenix. What will happen when we head to Arizona? It's going to be a very, very fun race. Make sure you come and watch it next week here on SimSpeed TV. Until then, we thank you for watching. Bye for now.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?